Welcome to the Application Delivery How-To video series. My name is Roberto Casilla, and today we're going to be looking at how Avi's application analytics features help app owners, infrastructure owners, and business stakeholders monitor the performance and behavior of their applications and services. Other videos in the series have focused on Avi's GUI around log analytics and end-to-end timing. In this video, we're going to focus on the alerting system. In this demo, we're going to look at an example where we will configure an alert that will trigger when the number of 5xx errors returned by a particular virtual service exceed a certain threshold. Let's dive into the UI and see how this is configured. We're here in the Operations tab under Alert Config. As you can see, there are a number of predefined system alerts that you can enable and use, but we're going to go and create our own custom alert here. I'm going to give this alert a name, Alert on Error. The alert's enabled, and we can enter a free text description here just describing what this alert does. Next, we define the conditions that will trigger this alert. First of all, we can configure an alert throttle. This is very important to make sure that the same alert doesn't repeatedly trigger for an ongoing issue. So with the default here of 600 seconds, this alert will not trigger more than once every 10 minutes. Next, we define the source of the alert. There are two types of alerts within the system. One is triggered by events, such as a pool member failing, a virtual server failure, a service engine failure. We're not going to focus on those in this video. There is another video in the series that will look at event-driven alerts. We're looking at the analytics system and the metrics-driven alerts. So I'm going to select metrics here. Next, we define the type of object that we want to trigger on. We can trigger based on virtual service metrics, service engine metrics, or pool metrics. In this case, we're looking at 5xx errors for an application for a particular virtual service. So I'm going to select virtual service. Next, we get to choose which virtual service we want to trigger this alert for. So from the drop down, I can choose for my virtual services. I only have one defined, so I'll pick app 1 here. Next, we look at the metric that we want to trigger on. And there are hundreds of metrics that the system collects about virtual services, similarly for service engines and pools. I have the full list here. I can also search within this list, and I know I'm looking for 5xx errors. So I'm just going to search for that. And as you can see, we have this metric, L7 client, average response 5xx. So this is a rate-based metric. It's looking at the rate of 5xx errors per second, essentially. So we want to trigger this when the rate exceeds, let's say, 10 5xx errors per second within a 5-minute period. So anytime the average number of 5xx errors exceeds 10 per second for a period of 5 minutes, this alert is going to trigger. We can add multiple metrics to the alert and trigger on any combination of them. But we're going to keep it simple, just trigger on this one metric. Next, we need to define the action to take when this alert is triggered. So I'm going to go down to Alert Action, and I'm going to select to create a new action. Let's call it Alert on Error Action. Again, I can put a description in here. Now we can define an alert level. This is just data that's going to be attached to the alert. It's user definable. We can choose from low, medium, or high. I'm going to class this as a medium alert. Next, we can define any of 4 different actions to take. We can send a syslog message to a syslog server, an SNMP trap to an SNMP NMS system. We can also use a control script. This is a really powerful mechanism within the alerting system. A control script is a Python script that runs on the controller when the alert is triggered. That script can make API calls out to external systems, for example, to raise a ticket in a help desk system automatically and attach to it the data from the alert. It can also make calls back into Avi itself to make configuration changes, for example, in response to some condition that's happened. It's extremely powerful, but today we're going to keep this quite simple and just send an email notification when the alert is triggered. I already have an alerts email action set up here, just defines the send to address and so on that the email is going to be sent to. Let's go ahead and save that. And now let's save the alert itself. Now we've defined our alert. I'm going to go ahead and simulate a scenario where an application has failed and is generating a lot of 5xx errors. And then we should see the alert being triggered and the email being sent. Okay, it's a few minutes later, and as you can see, we generated a number of 500 errors here from a particular client. And if we click over onto alerts, you'll see An alert was indeed generated here. Category medium as we configured. If I expand the alert, you can see our metric of average response 5xx far exceeded the 10 per second threshold that we configured during this 5-minute period here between 12:10 and 12:15. And the alert was generated, and indeed if I go over to my email, the email alert was sent with the same information passed into the email as we see in the alert over here. So thank you very much for watching this video, and please do be sure to check out the other great videos in the Application Delivery How-To video series.